So now here's probably the most important thing about a power of attorney is who the agent is, right? Who you pick to be in control of your assets, right? It could be your spouse, it could be your kids, it could be a friend, it could be a professional advisor, professional fiduciary. Whoever it is, that person, as Peter said, is really in a very powerful position. And it is a fiduciary relationship. You went over that last time, right?
A little bit. You know, it's a... does everybody understand what it means to have a fiduciary relationship? It's that best interest. But how many people sue their son or daughter? Not very many, you know?
No, not that many.
Sons and daughters, I mean, you know, kids can take advantage of their parents quite easily with these documents, and the parents very rarely will bring suit against them and say, you don't see it very often. So it's just a very powerful, powerful document. Don't short it. Do you name 3 people in your documents?
Well, I name as many people as the client have that they trust. You know, so I'll ask the client who would be the best person in your opinion, and then I'll ask them who would be the backup if this person was not available. And I'll do that. Usually it's like 2 or 3 that they have. Most people don't have that many people that they would trust with that.
But you don't name multiple people.
Multiple agents are a problem. Now, according to the probate code, if you name 2 or more people as your agents, as co-agents, then they have to agree. That's the law. And that's sometimes a problem. So I prefer not to do that. And we name successors, as Peter was saying.
Okay. You're naming an agent. I want you to start looking at your kids from a point of view of being objective. Where are they living? What's their proximity to you? Because if we're going to make financial decisions, where do you have your bank? Right in your area, right? Your bank locally. And so if the person lives out of town, is it really, you know, a good idea to name them? Time and skill. This is about money. Remember the conservatorship? We had a conservatorship of the estate and a conservatorship of the person. This is literally of the money. So does the person have some skill and time to deal with the money issues? Don't just name them because they're your child. Take into consideration the individual.
And their age.
And their, oh, absolutely.
And you don't want to name somebody older than you.
It's a good idea. I'm going to be out of business and real soon then.
A few miscellaneous things. Executing legal documents is always interesting. For a will, you probably heard this last week, when you sign a will, in order to make the will valid, it has to be witnessed by 2 people, right? 2 disinterested witnesses. For a power of attorney, you need either 2 witnesses, like a will, or you can have it notarized. If you have it notarized, you don't need the witnesses. Okay?
You have it what?
Notarized.
Oh, notarized.
Yes. You go to a notary, they notarize it, and that's okay. Sometimes, but very, very rarely, we will record a power of attorney. I generally don't. It's not necessary to do that, but there are some very specific limited circumstances where you want to do that. Usually in case there's a controversy over the valid power of attorney. So if one child or one person has the power, and then there's another power of attorney that was executed later, and they're fighting it out, sometimes we'll record them, or we'll record the revocation of one of those powers. Getting it accepted, we talked a little bit about that. My advice to people is that they take their power of attorney to the banks, along with their agent, and they show it to the banks ahead of time. They say, listen, I'm naming this person here as my agent under this power of attorney. I want to give you a copy of the power of attorney. Look it over, make sure it's good, and that way you flush out any problems with them accepting it ahead of time. Let me go back. Okay. If you're subject to a conservatorship, one of the orders that the court will issue is you no longer have the right to make contracts. Okay? So you lose that power. However, under power of attorney, you don't. Unless you're deemed incapacitated. Okay? So, no, you're not giving up any power voluntarily when you do a contract.
And then that's the other thing too is that having a durable power of attorney could avoid a conservatorship.
Yeah, that's
because we can get at the account. A lot of times people go under a conservatorship because there's no documents there. And the bank will not say, hey, I'm a nice guy, I just want to help her. They won't believe me. They won't believe a daughter or a son who goes to the bank and say, we need some monies out. And so then, if that's the case, and the person is already in dementia, then we have to go to court to get a court order of a conservatorship so we can take that letters of the court to the bank to say, now give us some money. You know? To me, all this estate planning stuff is so important because of this. When we're dead, do we really care? You know? We're gone. You know, but here, we're still alive and need to be taken care of. And we confuse these documents all the time about taking care of them when we're gone. These are so important because it's kind of like disability insurance is much more needed than life insurance. You know, it's the same concept. And we get to name these people. You know, we talk about staying in control. Well, we are the employer of our agent. And we get to determine who that agent is. Okay? So spend a little time on it. It's really important because if you're incapacitated, this individual is going to be completely in charge. So this is a document that you hope you never have to use, and the vast majority is you'll never have to use it.
But it comes in handy because it's way better than conservatorship. Now, the Advanced Healthcare Directive is a separate document altogether from the power of attorney for finances. And there's two purposes for this. The first purpose is to name your agent to make medical decisions for you in case you can't speak to your own doctors. Typically, you would maybe go in for an operation or something, and they put you under anesthesia, you're unconscious, you're sedated, you can't speak, something comes up, well, the doctor needs to talk to somebody, so whoever you've named in your Advanced Healthcare Directive is authorized to speak on your behalf with your doctors. Okay? The second purpose of the Advanced Healthcare Directive is to give your agents your written and specific wishes regarding your health care. And usually that means that you're telling them how you want end-of-life decisions to be handled. Okay? So this is a real critical document. This is literally a life or death type of document. Now there's several forms of Advanced Healthcare Directive. Just a little history on this thing. You may have heard of a living will, not a living trust, a living will, also known as a physician's directive. Okay? Physician's directive was part 2 of the Advanced Healthcare Directive. It was saying, you know, if I'm terminally ill, I don't want life support. That's what a living will was. And then we used to have a power of attorney for health care, which is where you named your agents for making medical decisions. And it was very confusing because they had these 2 separate documents that did different things. Sometimes people would have one but not the other, and it just didn't work. So maybe 10 years ago or so, California changed the law, and they didn't outlaw it, but they just eliminated the physician's directive or the living will. California doesn't have a living will law anymore. And now we have this Advanced Healthcare Directive, which combines those 2 things into one.
And if you have an old one, at one time it's only valid for 3 years.
Right.
Today, if you make one, it's again valid for life, but again, you got the same issue as to it does get old, like bread, you know. Do you feel exactly the same way you did as you did 5 years ago? Hopefully not. Hopefully you've matured, right? So you know and understand things better. So these things also, because it's end of life, you want one that's no more than 3 years old, and to make sure that it still expresses your wishes.
So California has a statutory form, Advanced Healthcare Directive, and the Probate Code. The California Medical Association has their own form.
I really like the California Medical Association form.
Yeah, that's good.
Because where are you usually when you need this document? In a hospital. And they're familiar with that form. So that's always better.
Yeah. There's an organization called HELP, which stands for Healthcare and Elder Law Programs. They put together a document called Your Way.
I forgot to bring my copy.
Yeah, I have some more information on that on the next slide. But that's a good one too. I like that because...
But this is not a advanced healthcare directive.
Well, it kind of is, but it's more touchy-feely.
Yes, it's a feeling one, not legal.
It's got more...
Feeling is not legal. Is that it? Did I say that?
It's got more narrative. It helps you think about how to convey your wishes to your loved ones and your children. And it's a good place to start, I think, on creating these healthcare directives. And then, of course, attorney-drafted documents, which I like to combine the best parts of all of these things.
The 5 witches.
It's excellent as well.
Yeah.
That's a little bit similar to Your Way.
I didn't hear the question.
There's a booklet called 5 Wishes.
Yeah.
And it's excellent. And it's the same kind of a thing like Your Way. It talks about what you want, what your feelings are.
Yeah.
They're excellent.
Right.
5 wishes.
Yeah, 5 Wishes. Google 5 Wishes. You can get it right online. Same thing on Your Way. These are the same folks that did the Ask First form. Help put this booklet together. We'll talk a little bit more about that.
So yeah, if you want to get the Your Way, that's the website. I think it's $3.
No, it's free.
It's free.
You can get 2 copies per address. Does anybody have one? You ordered one?
Well, I got one.
You got one? Yeah. They're excellent. I recommend them that you get a booklet. You stop by Trader Joe's, get a bottle of wine. Okay? You sit down at the kitchen table, with your agent or agents, and you go through the booklet. It's not a quiz, it's not a test, but you only die once, right? And no, I haven't heard anybody coming back and saying, this is how to do it. Right? And so nobody really knows and understands. And it's not like you go to, oh gosh, it's Thanksgiving, let's talk about death. We just don't do it. And so I think it becomes really important to kind of go through that booklet and say, gosh, who don't you want me to ask for advice? What amazes me, there's always some person in someone's family that they say, I don't want you to talk to blah, blah, blah about anything about my medical condition.